if the body is tired, for example, instead of trying to freshen the body, instead of trying to make the body alert, if you just accept the body, the tired body as it is, without trying to make it otherwise, to change it out, just trying to accept, okay, this is tired body, and look at it with compassionate view that in the end, it takes away the pressure. If you go into meditation, I'm going to solve this now, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. Okay, then.
I found it really hard to move through different people, because I got stuck on the first. Well, I was working with myself for quite a long time because that felt necessary, and then moved on to my mother, and that felt cathartic in a way to meet that sort of to meet that suffering, or like to meet her in that way, but then I found it quite difficult to move into experiencing her joy, and I think maybe that's kind of made me think of other people and other family members and suffering that's kind of shared, and I don't know, it just brought me more. At the same time, I was experiencing quite a lot of pressure and tension in my body, and that engaged me so much. That it was so pressing that I couldn't really continue with the exercise, so I was just sort of tending to myself, really.
Mindfulness of breathing and non-judgmental mindfulness is always there, and we have to summon it every time we find difficulty. And if you find something overwhelming, instead of proceeding with that, you can first come back, breathing and trying to strengthen mindfulness, trying to calm the mind, to let the mind settle, and then go back. Then it can even the heavier boxers, they need some rest. They can use box for 3 minutes, and then there is a chance of being knocked down during the 3 minutes.
Now this time I focus on a friend who I lend the money to, with the thought that I will do a good deed, and been like months he didn't return at least £1,000. I just got irritated, and I wanted to have compassion. That's the first thing I did, is that I wanted to do good thing, but I turned it to be irritated and trying to get the money. I don't know. I mean, I think I put pressure too much on her. Her life is already sad. But when the beginning to start, I didn't have compassion. I'm pissed, and I was like, this money, why didn't you communicate it? What you're going to do with the money, blah, blah, blah. Every time it will be like, how are you doing? Nothing happened. Like, why has the money? Then I started to feel like, okay, I have to have compassion to myself and have greed. I did this good deed because I expected moon or whatever, so I'm not perfect to begin with. And I started like, okay, I'm no better than anyone. Forget it, So I think then I could turn around and feel her compassion more. When I realized that I'm not better than anyone else, and then I could feel, okay, getting to why did I did the first place, I saw her suffering. And then it got a lot insight, and then I stopped doing it, and then too much.
Non-judgmental mindfulness is not widely taught. It's not widely taught in traditional meditation centers, but Ajahn Chah teaches non-judgmental mindfulness. And in Thailand, Ajahn Chah teaches it, and in Burma, Mogok Sayadaw teaches that. Non-judgmental mindfulness is that, okay, when you get irritated in this situation, not to judge yourself, good or bad, perfect, imperfect. To judge that is to miss the point of mindfulness. Because mindfulness is, when we judge it, because we personalize it, we see ourselves as a person. But irritation is not a person, irritation is not you, it's not her, it's not me, it's not anyone. Irritation is just irritation, it's just mental phenomena, it's just a kind of emotional reaction. And when that happens, we just recognize it as it is. This is irritation, this is how it's like. When irritation comes about, it pushes you to, it pressurizes you to blame somebody. To blame somebody, to say something you might later regret. So just to look at irritation, to stare at that, to stay with it. This is non-judgmental mindfulness. I couldn't find the Thai translation. I couldn't find Burmese translation either. Non-judgmental mindfulness. The first person to have coined this word is a German monk, Pavanuyana Ponika, who practiced in Burma quite a long time ago. He passed away nearly 20 years ago at the age of 90 something. In his book, The Heart of Mindfulness, that's the first time he coined the word non-judgmental mindfulness. And Western psychologists have adopted this word, this approach. He uses the word non-judgmental and no preconceived notion, that kind of thing. Like in the Nazi tradition, when you say, just note, if there's irritation, just note it. Just note. In Thai you call it come note. Just note it. Just note this is irritation. This is irritation. Not to personalize it. When you see the person, that's the mental image. You've got to separate that mental image from the person, from the feeling of irritation. Otherwise, when we personalize it, we tend to see the person as causing irritation, or her behavior as causing irritation. That's the way the mind usually draws conclusion. That's a personalized conclusion that we all do on a daily basis. And the Buddha is saying, this is the reason we get repeating the same thing. Repeating is called samsara. What does samsara mean? Samsara. This is because of personalizing. In Pali, atta, this means atta. Atta. To see irritation merely as irritation, and we call this bare attention. Bare attention, pure mind, pure awareness. We call it. So just when we see it, just that it goes away. It reduces its force. We reduce its force. Otherwise, we are strengthening, its force. When that happens, it's very difficult to see the pain of the other person, and it's also difficult to see your own pain. And this happens to everyone. So this is something that you have come across, and something that is very interesting that we all have to go through. Yeah. Thank you.
For myself and the family, it's easier to do meditation for my mother than my father, which I don't really understand, because normally, I don't have any issue with both of them, but I don't really understand why I can connect more to my mom than dad, and more to my sister than my brother. So discrimination. That's really nice. I'm not sure whether because we are same sex and they are different. I don't really understand why.
Just keep your mind open. No need to find out why. Just keep looking. Just keep collecting data. This is what happened now. And no need to use this information to project the future. Okay, it's going to happen like this. No need to impose the future with this, with what's happening here either. So keep the mind open and keep working on them. It can be that usually we don't try to relate to each other that much. I myself spend very little time with my father. I spent more time with my mother, so I could relate to her more. That's just a simple explanation. The fourth group, ourselves, family, then friends, then stranger. You can see the stranger because we have very little information about them. That's why it's difficult to relate to them, especially at this initial stage. Later, when we can transcend, individual attributes in the sense of individual program, individual happiness, we can transcend all these. We focus on the fundamental problem of human life. Okay, if I don't eat for 8 hours and then I feel hungry, then I can relate to all of you through this one. If I'm mindful of my hunger, if I sit here, okay, cross-legged meditating for too long, I can see the pain coming. I can see the pain building up, and if I'm aware of that process, if I'm aware of that pain having an impact on my mind, now I can relate to all of you through that pain because you all have this pain. These are the common attributes of human life, the common experiences of human life. But we can't do that at the moment. That is why we are looking for some special attributes, some special experiences through which we can relate to people. The mind has the ability to relate, but it has no habit of doing that. The law encourages us to ignore, okay? To ignore each other. The culture encourages us to ignore each other. Only the spiritual practice encourages us to care for each other. That's why we find it difficult to relate even to members of our family. If you haven't met somebody for a long time, it takes more effort to relate to the person than somebody you meet often. And these are always about the limits of our heart and mind. But in the Metta Sutta, Dittava Yewa Aditta Yewa Duryo Sandi Dittava Yewa Aditta, when you see the person or when you don't see the person, Duryo Sandi Avituri, Dura means the person who is very far, Avijja, the person who is near to you like this. There is no difference in the way you relate to them. But that's the highest metta. There's no limit anymore. Okay. In that situation, metta transcends time and space. Space in the sense of far and near. Time in the sense of, okay, we meet today, no, I can see, I can feel your pain. But 2-3 days later, Mori, no, not in my mind anymore. There's time, you see. There's time. Our mind is so much conditioned by time and space. That is why we find it difficult to work on our metta. Yeah. But we're going to work on ourselves more and more, and then work our way outward to our family members, to friends, to strangers, and to the people who irritate us. Padma.
Yeah, for me, actually, it's easier to show compassion towards the nearest and dearest, isn't it?
Mm.
Especially my daughter is not very well. First thing I go for her, then daughter, son and daughter first, then only afterwards. About irritable people, I thought can't do much about it, so just stay away from them only.
Just stay away from them.
Yeah, not to contact too much so that they don't get irritation suddenly. And now I'm trying to understand they're suffering as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually today I realized that when you said that they're suffering as well. Yeah, otherwise it's easier to just stay away. Sometimes it's too much irritable, you know. I can't do much about it. The compassion also I'm trying to extend to not just the family, your own children is the easiest to show compassion towards. And then go further and further, and outside one as well. So I try to do that as well. And irritation also. Irritation is not person is irritable all the time, perhaps. Yeah, but yeah, it is a yes, it's a habit of understanding. And not a bother about it.
About the people who irritate us. Okay.
Yeah.
We may think that if we don't focus on them, we don't think about them, we are safe. We may think like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
No.
It's not like that. We don't meet the people. We don't meet the person. Okay.
Yeah.
The irritation that has been caused is still here. It's still here.
Yeah, that is the one.
Yeah. So. First and foremost, what we're trying to do is to remove the irritation that is in our head.
Yeah.
To do that, it's not possible without facing the irritation within. And this irritation is associated with their image, with how they are, who they are, how we perceive them.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So just try to understand.
Yes. If you see suffering, if you see their suffering, you can do that easily.
Same as angry and irritable, same. Just stay away, can't do much about it, sort of.
Yes.
But yeah.
Just one example. You find it hard to sit on the floor because of your knee and after operation. And if you look at this, okay. To be mindful of this, how this causes a lot of pain, a lot of difficulty, discomfort. And you can imagine everyone, okay, having this
pain.
Having this it's a kind of pain, similar pain. May they be free from this, may be free from this. So just by using this one, you can do metta for everyone.
Yes, that's really true.
Sandra?
Thank you very much.
I missed the beginning, so I wasn't sure what you want us to do with compassion or the joyful. So I just stay with the mindfulness, and then when I feel pain, I try to do the compassion for myself. as you said, I'm trying to relate any particular person. I try to think of like any people who are suffering the same problem. I can see, I can connect the compassion, and I can give send the compassion.
Is there anything, any comment?
So yeah, do you think they are money to do money? Young us and young money will handle. Nala say Nala, but they must know the children will let Charlie. 3 2 to look you really.
Count the Hera with an Upatana Matali. When an Upatana, sorry to be speaking in British, with an Upatana Mata, the Dean A with an out of it of one Chitavana. Now the datum with an aka me my she experience. Item experience, love near she in aka, she experience with an Kanzania with the Tibetans the Tico, Kanzamu next, so I could trade highlight. All months into Nara Veshi, Kanzamu Veshi, the 3 misuse in Eddie Kanzamu now part by Kanzamu now part by to draw that to light, arm head high, Adam here, Chetagon. The tea net talk of Gatara Kansaro. Eddie, nay, one. I don't get 3 bit current that out. Narakama Nara thought of the light. Clearly, I look deep on Narakataro. I do with an eye a down to Nari. I did up a Pina, the Dina Pina, and Pina but Tambazin Korani. Tina or Nea Tina Tima Mother Master, Yadakan and Pona. Yadakan and Wanyama, Giuna Mutida, Tinaku, why? Giuna Suragata. Doka Wina, Chibi of Warani. Mima Patoka Shido, Dunya Patoka Shido, a doka with cheap purely. They are good to cook, doka to cook cheap like cheap. She needed doka, Mishida doka of home. She did doka, Ludiaka to a Kamaka, and the Kamka Java, the counter of Lowy, Tikiuna, Ayo, Tamari Chiku, rather Ludiaka, Kama Chis and the Kamka of Java, Ludiaka. Nice and 2 9 it's how you talk, go chance of your tea, Gerard Nana, Twala, Cat, say Tikite, Mari Muchifu, the Chitap Nara, Joking Basi, do a doka, Yakan Ravioli, or you not water. And Murida or Tuma count a credit for you, GB of Murida water.
I have a lot of thoughts coming out, so I'm not switching.
Give some to other people. You can share them.
Probably you should ask her how many months she has not been doing meditation.
No, I just asked Karuna Mutita.
You just come in the middle, so that's why I'm not too sure whether I should do it, because I do a deep meditation.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sandra?
Well, I have a question about unspecified group. Can we just pick up a group of people who are suffering as unspecified, or do I really have to be the whole world as unspecified?
We begin with, first we still have time and space, we still have location. Before that, after that we try to reduce the specification of time and space. I'm trying to say that maybe you find people in a hall, you visualize them, and try to relate to the people there. See if you develop concentration, you can relate to them. After that, you go to a bigger group like that. And then you go further back, okay, over the years, like that.
Because I chose two particular, the current situation that from the what I have been reading about Rohingya in Rakhine State and in Bangladesh. So it's a particular clash between the Buddhism and Muslim. So trying to think from the whole side. So can I consider that as an unspecified group, or is that just a very particular group that I chose?
In a way, it's still specified, but what we can say at the beginning, unspecified group. Unspecified in the sense it's not individuals. Yeah, but when we do that, we still depend on the images that we see on the internet, the news that we get on the internet, and then we form a picture in our mind. And we see pictures of people, although we cannot relate to them. But I think it's less specifying than we go to individuals. It's less specifying.
But still specified then?
Yes, but still specified.
What would be the good example for the typical unspecified?
In the text it says all male, all female, something like that.
Right.
Okay. The people in the east, the people in the west, the people in this direction, that sort of thing.
But the pain will be based on what I feel the pain.
Yes,
and
yes,
the
yes.
joy will be based on my
Yeah.
heart.
You got to be able to relate to the pain and the joy of the people you don't like.
Okay.
Okay. If you can do that easily, then there's no big obstacle in relating to those people. This metta meditation teaches us to break down the barrier. The barrier of what's specified, what makes things specified. So if we break down those barriers, then the things become unspecified. That's another way. An ideal metaphor of someone full of metta is like this. You have 4 people in the room. You have 4 people, yourself and your family, one relative. Okay, yourself, your relative, and a friend. And then you also have somebody you hate. Okay, 4 people in the room. The robber comes and asks you, okay, to choose one person. He's going to kill them. He's going to kill the person. You must give one, otherwise, okay, he's going to shoot all. You have to give one. The person who is full of metta cannot choose anyone. You don't choose yourself. And you don't choose your enemy. You don't choose your friend, okay? Because your love, your compassion for all of them is all the same. Yeah. But if you love three other people more than yourself, that's not metta either. Yeah. But if you say you take that man, if you the one who irritates you,
that's so obvious.
Yeah.
So you mean if when we do the metta for unspecified group or people, we should relate to the pain and joy from the person who I hate or who make me irritated. That would be the best instead of my pain and my joy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we go to the unspecified group, the biggest hurdle is the person who irritates you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We can have a 10 minutes break and come back for another session. just once a month, come on.
No, we have only one cup, so that's not enough time for all of us to have a cup of tea.